Welcome to a special Biota.org podcast. Today, artificial life music. Rather than doing an interview, I thought I would take a selection of artificial life, either created or inspired music from various sources, and this came through an email from Joseph Neuchâtel. People familiar with Biota will know Joseph's name well. He's had some connection with Biota.org for a number of years, and I conducted a text interview with Joseph about 18 months ago. You can find that text interview on the People page of Biota.org, and it contains a link through to Joseph's site and a CD, which he is currently selling, called Viral Symphony, which I'll play at the conclusion of this podcast. In listening to a set of artificial life pieces of music that is, it occurs to me that there is actually almost a genre, and these pieces are completely disconnected in some regard. I'm not clear whether, for example, Jonathan Klein knew of the Insect Collective's work in Australia, or even whether Joseph Neuchâtel knew of Jonathan Klein's work. However, they all have similar themes, which I think is particularly striking. So I would start with Lee Spector and Jonathan Klein's Swarm Evolve music from 2002. This is a selection of 4 brief pieces, which I put a slight pause in between to give the full spectrum of the 4 pieces. This is the Swarm Evolve music from 2002, Lee Spector and Jonathan Klein. In addition to the Swarm Evolve music, Lee Spector and Jonathan Klein also produced Selection Songs in 2005. People who've heard the Ape Reality podcast will know that music was a central part in the development of Noble Ape, or at least the early development of Noble Ape. The first Noble Ape CD released, Isle of the Apes, contained a track, in fact a couple of tracks, from a collective in Adelaide in South Australia called Insect 22. They've since split into two separate groups. One group moved to Europe and formed FO.am. This is Teeming Swarm from them in 1997. An aspect that I haven't talked about with regards to artificial life music is combinations of artificial life interface sounds as well as actual evolving music. And this is my own piece called Feline. It appeared on the Isle of the Apes CD as well. It's a combination of sounds from the Escape from Nirvana game, which was released on the CD, together with genetic polymorphic sounds, which is a technique that I was developing at the time, and various other elements. So this is actually probably the only assembled track that is going to appear in this podcast, but it does contain genetic elements and it does contain elements of artificial life. This is Feline from the Isle of the Apes CD in 1997. finally, I wanted to conclude with Joseph Neuchâtel's Viral Symphony from this year. I've included the final 2 minutes with permission in the podcast. This is Viral Symphony. Thank you very much for listening to this specially assembled Biota.org podcast. I received a long email from Jonathan Klein in response to my conversation with Bruce Damer, which appeared in the feed a podcast ago, and I'd like to invite Jonathan onto the podcast to have an extended chat about the various issues that he talked about. Some of it is with regards to a pending project, so I think we'll probably wait till that project reaches some point where Jonathan can actually talk about it in the feed, but it'd be wonderful to actually have that as a launch release topic of conversation. John is part of the Grey Thumb Collective in the Boston area. I've got to give a plug for greythumb.org. There's a link through on the Biota links page, but an amazing group. They have a grassroots group that meets on a monthly basis. They have speakers that come each month, and I think they're doing an off 2-week meeting, which is just a general get-together as well. I'm not sure if that's continuing or whether that was just a once-off. But an amazing group, a great mailing list. I thoroughly encourage anyone who is either in the Boston area or will be travelling through the Boston area to look them up and, participate. I'd really like to go myself, actually, so I'm considerably jealous of anyone who actually gets to a Grey Thumb meeting. But enough on that. If you have any comments, contributions, anything you want to add to the podcast, tom@nobleape.com. We've got a couple of interesting interviews coming up, so it's going to be an interesting podcast in the next couple of weeks. Thank you very much for tuning into this podcast. Look forward to you tuning into the next podcast.